So perception shift on life. That's what my subject is, right? Yesterday, what we are seeing is how we shift the perception about ourselves and our sufferings. Hmm? Today, we are looking at how we shift the perception about life. And then we discuss that suffering, like fear, comes due to perception, not the actual fact. Hmm? So I had mentioned that if you have dependency on a particular source, if it is money, work, boss, job, career, fame, sometimes parents, right? Some people depend on children, spouse, people. That's people, right? So people, any people, anyone, right? Or some kind of business, right? Or some people depend on spiritual life where they depend on spiritual gurus. They become monks. Or some people depend on begging, right? They go on the Parivirajika Yatra where they live with begging, which is a practice. But still there is a dependency. Hmm? So if that dependency is your life matter, right? So we discussed that anything that shakes that particular source will shake our mind. So that's what we call as stress. Hmm? And also, conversely, we get tensed about that source, right? And our negative patterns start affecting the source. And then eventually we will see that the source itself is becoming affected and shaking up. And then we get stressed more, right? And as we get stressed more, the source will shake up more. So it goes in vicious circle. Hmm? Same thing applies to spiritual states also. Suppose you say, oh, I won't have a spiritual high states. And if you say my state is what I'm going to depend on, same thing will happen. You're going to shake your state. So spiritual way also is not an escape. Some people depend on sadhana, right? They say, if I meditate for 2 hours a day, my mind stays safe, stays stable. So that means you're depending on meditation. So we are not teaching here closed eyes meditation. Okay, it's teaching here in life how you perceive, how the life shifts because of the change in perception that you're going to have inside you. Open eyes life, I'm talking about. Even if you don't do any practice, still you will have that perception shift where life treats you well and you treat life well. So if we cannot shift, depend on anything material, including yourself, in your state, your mind, your body, then what do we depend on, right? Because human mind needs something to depend on, right? So that's why we have Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of Bhagavad Gita, and in that he speaks about a few things, which again is a revision for most of you because we have seen Bhagavad Gita a lot. So we're going to listen from Lord Krishna himself through the video, and you're going to write down what your perception is and how you like to shift. There will be a lot of participation today from your side also, especially during the break times. We can use that. Okay, whatever you're going to write down with your hand, we will have it shifted for you. If you think in your mind, you can note it. Shift will happen maybe 10% of what you want, a little bit. But if you write it with your hand in your book, then actual rewriting, recoding of your brain will happen. So this is something which is ongoing with you. I'm not going to like come to you and ask you write down now, write down now. You'll continue to write today, whole day, on what perception shift you like to have. Okay. Also, yesterday we spoke about how people perception we shift, that everyone is Radha and Krishna. And we also spoke about how people become our gods inside us and how that you get liberated. And how perception, when it shifts, people also change. Life changes, situations change, everything will change. Life patterns change. Mental states we have finished with yesterday. You already have your state of mind. Today there will be a little bit of shaking up, but that is just for you to like purify it. So we are going to really listen to it, right? And then listen to it as in connection. Listen to it in connection with your life and your inner thoughts, emotions. Many times we follow our intuition, right? We say, oh, I feel like doing it, so I did it. I feel like doing this, so I'm doing this, right? So you're seeing that it's better than following your thoughts, negative thoughts or positive thoughts. So you follow your heart, we say, right? But the heart feeling depends on your perceptions, correct? So when we shift and raise your level of consciousness, then your perception also will shift. Your heart feelings will also shift. So you cannot say that your heart, what it says is true forever. Because whatever your heart says, feels, keeps on changing, right? What it said in 10 years, not very different from 15, is very different from 20, is very different from 30. It keeps on changing, right? So you cannot say, I follow my heart. It is good to follow your heart when compared to other people. But this heart also needs to get upgraded. Right. So we'll get into Bhagavad Gita and you listen to it as though Krishna is speaking to you directly. Personally, he's speaking to you in person. Some people ask, like, how does God, how can we know what God says, right? How can we listen to God? God speaks through scriptures. And in the process, constantly he's speaking to you directly. Only. So listen to it as though Krishna is in person with you and he's giving the teaching to you directly. And also in life also is very, very important. Major changes will happen. So you will think, oh, there are changes happening in the world. That change also is for you. You personally is loved by Radha and Krishna. So for you personally, so many things happen. Okay? So we are going to move from this limited perception, which is not really less because you are far higher than all your relatives and friends. So don't take it like you're less worthy or something. Wherever you are, you're upgrading now to the next. Yes. Intuition also will change. That's a point. So once you fix, let's say a person is fixed on money, okay, so when the intuition will be like working on when there is a problem. First thing is your perception affected that income source or boss or promotion, sense promotion, right? Or bonus, whatever it is. And then your intuition will say that, let me change my job. A new job is coming. That's your intuition. Follow your intuition. I'm not saying no to that. But remember, before the problem started, right? There was no problem in the beginning. I showed how your inner patterns affect the source and how the source is affecting your inner pattern, right? And then you want to use your intuition for another job, or maybe change your boss or change your branch. I don't know what all. Okay, need not be changing job. It can be within the job. You make some shifts, change in position, whatever, or just change in behavior, and you get an intuition. But that intuition was not required, right? If the perception was right in the beginning. So that is what we're going to see. The upgrade in perception will bring in new kind of intuition. Then your intuition will be, oh, this person who is behaving bad with me is actually also Radha Krishna, right? So, and the perception will let you see the divine in his heart experientially, not intellectually only. And the moment you see, that person is going to reflect that love to you. So that person will make things for you which you can never imagine. So there is no need for your intuition to work there, because the divine is working, right? In his heart, in her heart, in your heart. Remember, the Atma, your Antaryaman, is connected to every heart, everyone's heart. It's a network, right? Like a mobile tower network. So that's what we're looking at. I'm not saying don't use your intuition. I'm saying upgrade your intuition to a new level. Hmm? So these sufferings that you have from the previous perception, what I'm saying is not clear evident to you now. So you may not be able to understand how it pertains to you now when I'm speaking. Some of you may get it. But as the Lord Krishna is going to speak, you're going to become aware of it. Things which you never thought had, fears which you never had, you thought you had, insecurities which you never thought you had, will pop up that time. So then you take your book and write down your old perception, why that suffering is there. And the new perception is what we already discussed yesterday. Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadi Radha Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Everyone and every god is Radha Krishna. Sahasrapatra Kamalam Gokulakya Mahatpadam Tatkarnikaram Tadama Tat Anandamsham Sambhavam. The second verse of Brahma Samhita, which means everywhere is Goloka. So many of you have attended this and you have applied it, but now you're going in detail of your life, in every segment, the last corner that the Maya is going to test you, even from that last corner, right? You're going to change your perception. Get it? So if you change your perception about your job, your money, your spouse, your parents, sister, whoever you interact with, your current life, and that's all you did, life will find ways to penetrate into your life through different forms to test you. So the way forward is to shift the perception about yourself, shift your identity, practice it today. You will have time to practice it. Remember, do it today itself. What I'm going to say, do not procrastinate and say this I'll practice later. In the energy field, you have the opportunity to shift. If you do it by yourself, you will get some changes, but not this total transformation that you get through Diksha and your process, shift in consciousness and all this. So maybe you had to work on 10 years to get a shift that I can give you in 10 minutes. Okay, so today is the day you're done with lower perception on life. You're going to raise it to Radha Krishna perspective. So Bhagavad Gita will raise your perception about yourself, your individual consciousness. Then we go into Garga Samhita, which will shift the perception about God. Then we go into Brahma Samhita, which will shift your perception about the world. Then we'll get into Gita Govindam, where you shift your perception about Radha and Krishna, so that you can become them. We can become them and be them. Okay. So, like I said before, if you cannot connect with Radha and Krishna, you can connect with Jesus Christ, Lord Buddha, Lord Shiva, Parvati, whoever you want to connect. You will get the perception of that God. Okay? That is also fine. So there is no limitation in this program. Okay? There's no like you don't belong here or it's not for you. It is for you only. Maybe not in the exact way I'm saying, right? So when I say, okay, you are a Shiva devotee, then I say everything is Goloka, everywhere is Goloka. Maybe you have to perceive everything everywhere is Kailasa. That's fine. Okay, but I'm not going to repeatedly say that in the program. That's your part where you can perceive in the way you wish. Okay. And I'm going to take you to Goloka anyway, possibly today morning itself. So on the way, you can get down in Kailasa and live there if you wish. Okay. We have stops there, possibly. Let's see. Right. Okay, so let's get into the video.